This game said a lot, not just regarding the main storyline going around the Toronto Raptors right now about Gary Trent Jr.'s future, whether or not he'll be with the team in the coming off season. Not just about that. Not just about the Toronto Raptors and their pursuit of the tank. It's clear, it's evident, there's no questions about it at this point. This team is actively losing with no real hope of winning any games. We can see it by the recent stretch. We've only got a win against the Charlotte Hornets. I got a few things I want to address about this, which, again, still some positives, so we end up keeping our draft pick. And not even just about the memes that came from this game, because a lot was said in the post-game jersey swap against the Orlando Magic. But this team, this direction, we got some answers on some of the players. So we're going to dive into it all regarding this Toronto Raptors loss to the Orlando Magic. But before we do, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, because we want to keep you up to date with all the latest Toronto Raptors news, and over 55% of you are not subscribed. So make sure, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and you want to stay up to date with Toronto Raptors news. But this game against the Orlando Magic, again, the second game, not back-to-back, but back-to-back games, not back-to-back days against Orlando, where the Toronto Raptors have some moments, have a couple positives here and there. This one was a lot tougher to watch than that other Orlando Magic game, but still coming out with the L, coming out with the loss. Now, the main storyline, I did a video on him earlier today regarding Gary Trent Jr. because he had a massive explosion. The Starboy was looking like the Starboy Gary Trent Jr. in the previous game against the Orlando Magic, had 31 points, a season high, splashing threes left, right, and center. And then the big topic over this weekend was, we need to bring back Gary. We need to give him the money, give him the contract, and all of these types of things. And I am still of the frame of the belief that I'd be happy with Gary Trent Jr. coming back to the Toronto Raptors. He is an elite three-point shooter, regardless of his inconsistencies, his ups and downs. Overall, he shoots over 40% from behind the three-point line, and that is a legitimate NBA skill, which would be valuable around guys like RJ Barrett as well as Scotty Barnes. So I'm happy with Gary Trent Jr. coming back, but at the right price. Gary Trent Jr. isn't a facilitator. He's a guy that, can be a little bit of a ball stopper. And as we saw tonight, he's a guy that is inconsistent. It's just is what it is. Tonight, we saw the highs and lows with Gary Trent Jr. Tonight in this one, 6 of 12, had 15 points. And a few of these came down the stretch of the game when it was already sort of over. But 2 of 6 from the three-point line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. At least he had 3 steals. He's improved himself on the defensive end. But I don't know. No explosion of a performance for Gary Trent Jr. He's really the number one option on this team. He is the guy that has the most NBA experience, it feels like, with the exception of Kelly Olynyk, but the main sort of bucket getter for this Toronto Raptors group here now at this point, and still kind of drops a dud against the Orlando Magic in a game that, again, we don't have expectations we're going to win. We don't have that sort of thought of, hey, we're going to beat the league, one of the league's best defenses, a playoff team, without Scotty, without Pirtle, on an already rebuilding team. But Gary, as he did the other night, made the game competitive, made it close, and had Raptors fans hyped up with his sort of positioning. But now, we saw it in the second game of this doubleheader against the Orlando Magic. We see the both sides of the coin. So this is not me saying we shouldn't bring back Gary Trent Jr. It's not me saying it's an automatic gone or anything like that, but it just reveals both sides of the whole Gary Trent Jr. scenario. So we'll see how the rest of the season shakes out. I don't know if we should even read too much into the rest of this season because, again, the basketball is horrible. The product on the court is just bad for the Toronto Raptors here now at this point. But, we can take some positives. And when young players are playing well, that's the positives we can take from. And I guess this guy isn't really a young player because he is older than Gary Trent Jr., so Gary is one of those young guys we can look at as a positive. But Jordan Wara continues to be a bucket getter off the bench for the Toronto Raptors in terms of opportunities. 18 points, 7 rebounds for Wara, 25 minutes. It felt like he didn't get a bunch of run in this game, despite the fact he was the Raptors' really best player in this one. But in terms of scoring, in terms of getting some stuff like rocking, like Jordan Wara is a guy that only made 1 3, but can score all over the basketball court and continues in limited minutes to just prove to the Toronto Raptors fans, front office, and coaching staff that, sure, he lacks a little bit of, skill on the defensive end. He's not a plus defender by any means, but he's certainly a guy that if the Toronto Raptors need some scoring, some firepower off the bench, something to really just change the pace, throw out there to sort of get some buckets. He can be a microwave out there and get some points on the board, whether it be jump shots, middies, whether it be shots around the basket. Jordan Wara can be an effective scorer for the Toronto Raptors. So that's a positive there for the Raptors. He continues to play well in limited runs. So happy with that sort of acquisition, the Pascal Siakam trade. Again, are we going to give him, because he's a free agent this offseason, 10, 15, $20 million? No. That would be a bad move. But to keep him back in the Raptor system, maybe try to develop his defense. I think there's a legitimate NBA player in Jordan Wara. So that's a nice positive there. But that's basically it for mainly in terms of positives from this game. I mean, Kelly Olynyk, 11 points, 4 rebounds, just has had a tough go against the Orlando Magic in the past couple of games. Already discussed Gary. Emmanuel quickly didn't have his jump shot going at all over the past couple games. 12 points, not even facilitating too much. Had 7 rebounds at least, but 4-15 from the field. 0 of 3 from behind the 3-point line. So he's struggling. Abaji continues to not really have it on the offensive end. 9 points. I know he's dealing with knee soreness, but again, we traded that late first round pick for Abaji, and he's shown some flashes of being really good, especially as a two-way guy. If he's knocking down some threes, I think he could be an awesome piece for this Raptors group, but Abaji's definitely a dude that hasn't really stepped up tremendously with the extended minutes, extended run. Now he's playing completely out of position, and all of the things we've mentioned in recent sort of reactions to these games, so not going to be too down on Abaji there. But then off the bench, you got 3 minutes from Jalen McDaniels, plus 5 in those 3 minutes. So no little Tony Snell stat line there for Jalen McDaniels. Bruce Brown, again, we're hoping he increases his averages in these minutes. So only 23 minutes from Bruce Brown. 12 points, 4 assists. Still praying to the basketball gods that he will still be able to net us a first-round pick at this year's NBA draft. Jonte Porter, again, looks fluid out there. I don't think Porter's playing bad, despite the stat line not looking too great. 4 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, all around there. But again, Jonte Porter's developing. He's not someone we're going to be able to rely upon and, this type of stuff. But I do think Jonte Porter is earning a roster spot at least. But yeah, and then we also have the guy, Jahmi'us Ramsey, who has been solid. It looked good in the last game against the Orlando Magic. Got some extended run over Javon Freeman Liberty in tonight's sort of outing. Again, he's on that 10-day contract. I think Darko Rajokovic is giving him the opportunities to see what he can do. And he's bringing on the defensive end. Had 5 points, 2 steals, 2 assists. Do I think he should be playing over Javon Freeman Liberty, JFL? I don't know if that's the move. I mean, we just gave JFL a multi-year contract. I think the back half of that is unguaranteed, but he's on an actual roster spot. So, who should be getting minutes here or there? That's stuff that could be debated, but I don't know. This is deep bench players. We'll see if they develop. No real crazy positive takeaways from any of the players that are out there on the court. But the main positive from this game is the Raptors are now tied with the Memphis Grizzlies for the 6th worst odds in the NBA. From the way things are going, again, I showed our recent sort of stretch of games. I don't think there's a world where the Toronto... Knock on wood. I don't think there's a world where the Grizzlies lose more games than us to close out this season. Heck, with DeAndre Ayton playing well, I'm back on Courtside Digest as well. Check out my recent video on DeAndre Ayton, but he's been killing it for the Blazers. So maybe the Blazers can get a few games. If we can get down to bottom 5, that would be massive. But I made this poll kind of in jest 11 days ago now at this point, but I think it was to the loss against the Pistons, I want to say. Who was this loss? May have been the Pistons. I'm not 100% sure. But I made this poll. Will the Raptors win another game this season? And 73% have said yes. I threw out there no. Again, a little in jest or whatever. But the Raptors have been losing games since. We haven't had any W's there at that point. So I don't know. Maybe the Raptors can lose out this season and get us the number 1 overall pick. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think about the Toronto Raptors. I think this game said a lot about a few things going on. Oh, and finally, the last thing that I have to address is what this picture is ridiculous. I threw it in the thumbnail, but what's Grady Dick out here doing, man? That's tough. But you guys are the best to make it this far. You are actually the best if you end up watching this game against the Orlando Magic. But I'm signing off. Cheers.